but I've always told people when they say, "Can I make it in the horse business? Can I make it in the horse business?" And I'm like, "Hey, look, if you've got a saddle and a work ethic, it's impossible to starve. It's virtually impossible to starve." And so I would encourage anybody out there, if you're questioning it, hell, just bail in and do it.
Yeah.
You'll never be ready. I can tell you that right now. You'll never be ready. You'll never be totally prepared. I've discovered that fear, the unknown, keeps so many people from doing it. Like, how wonderful would the world be if everybody did what their 10-year-old self wanted them to do?
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. Got a great guest on today. I relate a lot to. I think a lot of y'all will relate to somebody that's in the ranching business, the horse training business, selling tack. I mean, just kind of doing it all. It seems like, which I've gone through that. Still have my hand in a lot of different things to make it all work. But Scott, and I probably mess up your last name. I always say Hulme, Scott Hulme. But how do you say your last name?
You just pretend that there's not an L in it, and you say Hume.
Okay,
I don't know what ancestor of mine flunked English, but they did.
Yeah. Well, we always start out with your background. I'm pretty sure from what I know about you, got a deep ranching background. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I grew up in a little town called Montpelier, Idaho. It's very rural, very secluded up in the mountains of southeast Idaho. My mom's family is all Wyoming natives, and then my dad's all Idaho. So my grandpa had a farm. My dad's dad, he had a farm. Had some cows, liked hay, whole 9 yards. Sheep. He had some sheep. But my mom's dad was a cowboy. I mean, Webster's term. And in all good and bad ways. I mean, like, he could ride anything that bucked. He could make anything work for him. He could rope anything anywhere. He could make them gentle for the family. Rode a lot for different associations, range riding jobs. Didn't really own much more than a pickup and a saddle either, you know. So he was the guy that everybody called when something wild needed roped and drug in. He was the guy that everybody called when nobody else could ride the horse. I mean, he was a great guy. And when I grew up, he was my best friend. I mean, he took me cowboying every day up in the mountains there. It was very picturesque, very beautiful, 6,000 to 10,000 feet in elevation. I mean, 100 miles from Yellowstone Park type of deal. So I feel like I didn't grow up in the cutting horse world. I didn't grow up with a father that pro rodeoed, and don't feel shorted or like I missed out. As a matter of fact, I feel like so many people out there, I would love to share so many of my experiences, which is impossible, but I felt blessed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anyways, then I always wanted to be a horse trainer. I was drawn to liked horses. I liked, and not just riding the old horses. I always felt like every time I started a colt or something that I made the world a better place because we had one more rideable horse, and I wanted to be like Grandpa. So
yeah,
I got into training some snaffle bit horses. Down the road, I worked for a guy named Brandon Butters.
Was cutting big up there, or was it mainly like cow horse?
It was not. Cow horse was damn near non-existent, and cutting was. There were like old Terry Hymas, Don Clark, Dean Koontz. All these guys I'm mentioning are deceased. Ed Bowles. They were kind of the cutting horse guys around that area, and good friends, very good friends. The cutting's very small. Now, they used to have a lot more cuttings up there, like Greg Smith and Russ Miller and them told me about cuttings they used to have up at the Reed Ranch in Blackfoot. And I remember Ed Bowles told me they had some cuttings down out of Hot Springs in Downey, Idaho. And I said, where did you have cuttings at the Hot Springs? He said, right there in the Krells. Mm-hmm. So we used to have several cuttings a year there. I said, Ed, there's rocks like the size of basketballs in there. He said, oh, yeah, I know. We just worked around them. He didn't care. They were just happy to cut.
Yeah.
And so the Rain Cow Horse, there was a small association up there in northern Utah, and Brandon Butters. Well, so backtrack just a tick. I get out of high school, and all I wanted to do is be a cowboy. I didn't want to go to college. So I've never been to college. I just wanted to rodeo, and I roped decent. But I wasn't good enough to be, like a, world champion, but I did rope pretty good. And everybody always says, I was good enough. I just blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I competed against those guys, and I knew what kind of added money I really was. You're really good until, that top 10%. They're just incredible. So I was just riding colts, and anyways, I was doing nothing. And I went to work for a guy named Dan Keach that was the most influential man in my life, in my opinion. Several of them are responsible for what I do today, but Danny probably could have been, and in my opinion, he's the most successful rancher that I know. And he had a friend named Boyd Udy who needed a colt started, so I was kind of the bronc stomping type of kid, and I said, yeah, I'll get on it, and Boyd was a remarkable hand at starting colts and training horses. He was just older by then. And so I started a colt for Boyd and rode it for quite a while, and I cabbed cows for Danny and did that. And then Brandon Butters, a little while later, I was rodeoing a bunch, kind of needed some money to make through the week. So I started riding some colts for a guy named Brandon Butters, who was really good friends with Boyd. And I ran out of money halfway through the summer, just went broke, And Brandon said to me one day, he said, when are you going next weekend? And I was rodeoing every weekend, and I said, nowhere, dude, I'm broke. And he's like, oh, good. He's like, it's about time he's like, I think you could do this for a living. You could train horses like I do, but he goes, you need to get that rodeo out of your system. And I don't think that's something that'll ever totally get out of a guy's system.
Yeah.
I mean, every year I go to Vernon, I watch the pro rodeo, and I'm like, man, I think I could do it again, and when you're a number 7 and you're not a 10, there's a lot of difference. But the thought of driving 600 miles between runs and stuff like that doesn't excite me. But anyways, yeah, Brandon said you could train, and then he got me a job with Skip Brown in California, so I went to Red Bluff, and then I went home and got married and started raising a family, and I never got into cutting until about 2014, really. And I bought a horse that had won $183 in the NCHA. And that horse had won more money than I had, so I wanted to give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, the horse was actually quite well trained. He had been trained by my best, greatest friend, Matt Budge. And that's how Matt and I got to be friends, is because of that horse. I bought that horse for $1,900 in Billings, Montana. And I showed him 39 times that year, and I won 36 checks, and I made the world finals. And I came to Texas, and I was enthralled with it all. And then a couple years later, my wife just out of the blue one day, I'd built a pretty nice little ranch up there in Idaho, and everything was going good. One day she just said, because I kept saying I want to move to Texas, and she was like, let's go. It scared the crap out of me. I was like, man, she called my bluff. And I had a plan. I was like, I'm going to put my place on the market, and I'm going to price it so high that nobody will buy it. And in a week, it's in a contract. So it got real then, We came down here and found a place. And we bought and sold a property in Graham. It just was a nice little place, not big enough. Then I bought a little bigger place in Olney, Young County there. Again, a nice little place, but not big enough. And then I met a really good banker, and we got to be friends. And he was able to get me in a position with a lease ground and to back me, and was able to buy, a bunch of cows. And we moved to Vernon and bought a bigger place. And so we run a few hundred cows now, and still cutting. I don't work, near the number of horses that those guys do.
Mm-hmm.
I work, I don't know, 20, 20 a day. And that's a big day to me. But I try to get done with everything. I mean, like right now we got a bunch of cattle we're starting and getting ready to go to wheat, and so we have to ride through and doctor every day. You know the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's way different. I always tell people it's way different when you're ranching versus like I learned really the hard way that ranching with somebody else's checkbook and ranching with your own is way different.
Yeah.
I mean it's your neck on the chopping block, and you can know everything about cows until you start writing the checks, and then it definitely changes. So
yeah, I think that's why I think your operation it's cool to see your perspective, because you are you're kind of splitting ranching and cutting and training horses for people, whereas like we've had Porterfield and Taryn and Matt on here, and their main deal is they're going through trying to go through enough horses where they can go win the futurity and win a lot of money, is whereas maybe you're kind of more on the smaller scale of making a living doing it, building a ranch.
Yeah.
And Taryn said it real good, I think maybe in here. But he's like, it's hard if you are doing that, because like he said, if you want to be a top cutting horse trainer, that's all you need to only focus on that. If you go to splitting your time looking at cattle and stuff like that, then it's going to take away a little bit. But if your dream life, like you kind of mentioned before, is like you're wanting to build a ranch that you can pass to your kids and stuff, and you enjoy riding cutting horses, you enjoy your open, you get to do all that. That sounds like a pretty good dream life to me. DX Trailer Sales is based out of Lubbock, Texas, and it's definitely not just a trailer dealership. If you are involved in the Western way of life, and if you're listening to this show, you probably are, they have something you need. From trailers for a day working cowboy to a full-time cattle hauler, to hay trailers for a farmer or rancher, to arena drags, rope and chutes, and feeders for the rodeo cowboy or cowgirl. They also deal in every kind of hay any of your animals could ever need. Literally anything you need for farming, ranching, or rodeoing, they have something for you. And it's going to be at a super affordable price. Besides all that, everyone you deal with there is super friendly and helpful. We just got new custom flatbeds built for our pickups, and I also got probably the coolest trailer you've ever seen built. And you can stay tuned for a video we're going to do, and it's going to show all of that and some more of their products also. So check out DX Trailer Sales on Facebook or dxtrailers.com.
It is. So, there's a few things that I don't think you can do anything part way and be truly phenomenal at it. And then there's a book that I read, and it's called, I think it's called The Gift of Akbar, Ogmandino. Read it years ago. If you haven't read anything by Ogmandino, bell in. I mean,
yeah, the Four Agreements, one of my favorites.
The greatest salesman in the world, or world's greatest salesman, whatever it's called. That was the first one I read, and then in that Gift of Akbar, I every now and then, like once a month, I pull this sheet out and I print it off. And I read it, and it's this thing that this star, literally a star in the sky, wrote to this. I can't remember if he wrote the letter to a boy or a small town or something. And one of the lines in there says, before you get dead set on any one thing, take a look at those who already have that which you desire and see if that's really what you want. Mm-hmm. So I love cutting, and I admire, although I had a pleasant conversation with Matt Gaines today at the pre-work. And I'm not 100% sold that guy's human just yet. I mean, he's a machine, and he's a kind person. He's a wonderful guy. He's a great horseman. And I admire all those guys that have won millions and millions of dollars, but I don't like that many people. I can tell you that. If I have to deal with 20 customers, I'm like, wow, this sucks. I can't imagine dealing with 100 more of you.
Yeah.
I get what those guys are doing. They're searching for that special horse that's going to go and win 700,000 and produce 300 million and all the other numbers. I like I told you before, I usually buy a new Dodge truck about every year or year and a half, 2 years. Okay, I buy a brand new truck, and those trucks don't mean anything to me. My favorite pickup truck is a 1977 Chevy, and very old fashioned. I like things slow. I ride my horses out a lot. Like all of them 2-year-olds, a lot of times I spend a mile or two trotting them around the place, looking at fences, prowling pastures, and then I come back and work them. And I have come to realize that I don't believe you can train a performance horse on a ranch, and I don't think you can train a ranch horse in an arena. I get these horses all the time, and people say, "Oh, I've ranched on him this and ranched on him that," and blah, blah, and I get on him, and I'm like, this horse doesn't know how to go somewhere. And you know the difference. When you get on one and he'll swing them 8-foot splits and he will hunt country. My big pasture, I mean, I don't even know. It's probably 16 or 18 miles around the fence line. And I try to check that fence quite often and keep track of things. And like that allotment where my grandpa was a range rider when I was a kid, it was a tick over 100,000 acres. So ranching, like one day I had to go fix some fence and I had to pack the fencing supplies back into this big hole I found in the fence a couple months ago. And I mean, I don't care if somebody's got $100,000 colt in the barn. If I think he needs to be packed on that day, I will put a pack saddle on him and he'll make a living. It's very hard for me to get into something I don't believe in. So I like a horse that can swing its reins, really travel. Like that I had a mare I won the world on 2 years ago, and her 2-year-old program, like I seriously never worked a cow in an arena on that mare until like November of her 2-year-old year, like now. Okay. And all I did, I got pictures of her outside, roping calves on her, the whole 9 yards. And I really didn't even think that much of her. I just was using her. But then when I went to start working her like a show horse, she had been through enough that she was just like, oh man, this is easy.
Yeah.
You mean all we got to do is trot around and stay in front of this cow for 10 minutes and I get to go back in my stall. This is cool. So, I don't know. But really at the end of the day, I'm never going to be able to leave my kids like a huge book of business for cutting horse training, because people come and go out of that. I'd like to be an awesome grandpa like my grandpa was to me. So I'd like to have enough land that if my kids desire to stay home, I can be a good grandpa. I'd like them to know what it's like to have to check calves, pull calves in the middle of the night. I'd like them to know what it's like to not just rope and drag calves to the fire, but be able to doctor cattle, vaccinate, brand, the whole raise, produce, feed a country, feed themselves, the whole beef production thing. So that's all very special and important to me. And so when I looked at it, really, I went, okay, you can either really dive into this horse training, cutting horse career and move to Parker County and do what all those awesome guys do, or you can just stay a simple little nobody in the more western part of the state. And that's what I love. I really do. And I admire those that do the full on play Rocky music every morning and get out there and punch the bag. I'm like, man, you guys are machines. But, and my wife even senses it when I have things get stressful and stuff. I'll say, hey, look, I'll be back tonight. I'm going to check some cows, and I'll be gone for 8-10 hours. And sometimes I'll put a load of colts in the trailer and I'll just disappear, good for me, good for the horses. It's just Louis Field told me one time, you have to have that balance. He said, you got to have your family time, you list Green Lights, McConaughey, you listen to that, and he talks about the red or the black and all the different areas of life. I really feel like anymore, as competitive as anything is, whether it be rodeoing or cutting or reining or barrel racing or whatever, I really feel like if you're going to be like the awesomest, bestest, you're probably going to let a lot of other aspects of your life slip.
Yeah, you got to make some other sacrifices.
And, you might not have the best family life, or you might not have the best relationship with, and I'm not talking about your wife and kids either. I'm talking about maybe you don't get to see your mother that often, or your cousins, or you don't get to go to your class reunion. I mean, I've seen this type of life devour a lot of people, you know? I mean, there's not too many Austin Shepherds that can be like this perfectly awesome, kind man and just so nicely pat you on the back because he just slaughters you every time he walks into the pen and wins millions of dollars. I mean, this deal can devour you. And some of those guys way at the top, maybe they've come to that spot in life where maybe that's why they do so good, because they really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I like working dogs, if that doesn't seem crazy. Like Border Collies. Mm-hmm. I'm not very good at it, but I would really like to do better at it. So
anything behind a dog. I've never like owned any Border Collies. I've always just had cur dogs, bay dogs, but I love that. And then also being around somebody that's got a good Border Collie or anything with dogs, going hunting with dogs. I mean, anything, you tie a horse and a dog and a human together and get out in the wild. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like my good friend Taryn Munch, she's like one of my best friends. I call everybody my best friend. But anyways, I love Taryn. We had a conversation this morning, but he's a remarkable hand with a dog and a horse. And he's one of those guys that I think everybody could take a lesson from too, because he can find, like, you can have the worst horse in the world and he'll find something good in it. You know, like, I mean, he's good. And I don't think, like, really seriously, I really think that dogs are an excellent judge of character. So I think if you're going to be a real good hand with a dog, you need to be a good human.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told you I wasn't a very good hand with a dog, so that tells you. But no, I just, you know, a while back, I thought I was struggling with some things, and I talked to a really good friend of mine that maybe I see him at church or something once in a while, and basically chewed my butt and told me I was starving my soul. And so, like, now I get up, drink coffee, read my Bible for a while, try to find something in there to maybe build my day around, you know? Like, this is a part of my life that I'm not doing very good in, so I should try to work on that. You know, today, that's my goal, is I'll try to find something out of there. And so, you know, like I say, and to me, it takes all of it. I mean, oh dear. It's really not that. I will tell you this. If you're a young person who wants to get in the horse training business, I know 20 trainers hiring right now. Being unemployed is, you just don't want to work. If you think it's all about getting your picture on the cover of the Chatter and gold buckles and, I mean, because I'll tell you right now, this industry will forget you so fast. You know, like, and I'm not, don't take this the wrong way, I'm nobody special, but I won the world 2 years ago. I hauled this mare, and I'm like, if I could just make the top 15, I'd be so happy. And I knew the horse was a really good horse. And then I usually have a good way of dropping the ball before the finish line. So I'm like, I'm just going to go really hard until I win $20,000, because I thought that would take that to make the finals. And, well, I get to like 20 and I'm sitting like second in the world. And I'm within like $2,000 at first. And I'm like, everybody kept telling me, you got the best horse going. I mean, come on, man. And I'm like, can I do it? Why not try it? So, and I pulled it off. So I win a gold buckle and all this stuff, you know, and then it's like, that's really cool for about 3 weeks. And then the new year starts and everybody forgets about last year and it's a new race.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I feel bragging that way. I mean, just at anything. I mean, you're more involved in the cutting deal, but like just watching the NFR, it's like,
yeah,
you get to talking, you're like, who won the world last year, you know?
Yeah.
And you forget so fast.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, better yet, who won second?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy come out of nowhere and has this remarkable rookie year, and he's a reserve world champion. And anyway, so if that's why you're doing it, get out. If you love getting up in the morning, if you love freezing in the winter, and you love sweating in the summer, and you love working horses in places nobody will ever see you, and you love being dirty, and you love not eating as good and skipping all the stuff because something's sick, or like my wife had to take a horse to the vet the other day. The Weatherford, it's 3 hours round trip, 6 hours, 2 hours at the vet. There's 8 hours. We don't get paid extra money for that. I mean, we charge the customer for the fuel, but we don't say, well, you took 8 hours of her day. That's her $300. No, it's just part of it. So
I heard a good quote the other day. It was, the person that loves walking will walk further than the person that's walking to a destination. Basically,
life's a journey. Mm-hmm. It is not a destination.
And you hear I love just studying successful people in all industries, and it's always they just love the game. They love building, whatever it is they do, they just love it. It's not because they're trying to work for 40 years and then retire and just hang out. They never want to quit. They say, they're selling. Watered. Yeah, they're selling. I mean, like the big people, everybody. Yeah, he's not quitting. The people like Elon, I don't think he's ever going to quit. I mean, they're different. They just love it so much.
Wesley Thorpe can still like enthusiastically rope the dummy or practice steers or whatever, because I saw a video a little while ago of him roping with his little boy at home, and he was enthusiastic about it. And I was like, that's what it's all about, mm-hmm. And so yeah, if you want but I've always told people when they say, can I make it in the horse business? Can I make it in the horse business? And I'm like, hey, look, if you've got a saddle and a work ethic, it's impossible to starve. It's virtually impossible to starve. And you might not get the best horses, but I can't tell you how many guys out there are very successful and will tell you a story about a horse they won the most on, that was the toughest thing, or a reject, or like one of the Shannon Hall, Rattlesnake Jones. You know what I mean? Zane Davis and Raymond. There's another guy, Zane. I don't know if he's a human being yet either. He's insanely disciplined and hard worker, and so it doesn't really matter what you pick. If you're doing it for you want to be famous and you want, it ain't gonna work. Yeah. If you just love working,
How do you balance your day between training horses and taking care of cattle? Let's be honest. Ordering custom merch is way harder than it should be. You get some random sales rep who thinks ag is short for aggressive. They slap your logo on a boxy tee no one wants, or the same cap that your competitor has, and then hit you with surprise charges for artwork, setup, and who knows what else. That's why I've been working with Brand Cowboy. They actually live in the ag, western, and outdoor world. No artwork fees, no setup fees, and they know what looks good because they're part of the culture. They're not faking it from an embroidery shop in the big city or screen printing shirts in their brother-in-law's garage. We're even building Wealthy Cowboy Show merch with them right now, and it's been awesome. They made it easy, fast, and actually fun. And if you want more than logos on blanks, they've got full cut and sew capabilities, built from scratch, custom fabrics just for your brand. Private labeling inside and out. Head to brandcowboy.com and book a call. Mention Crockett and get a free 30-minute consultation on how you can build merchandise that your customers will actually want to wear, and at such a high quality you could offer it for sale no matter what industry you're in. Brand Cowboy. Made for you, made for your brand.
So because people pay me to train horses, that takes priority over everything. We go to the barn first thing in the morning, which is right outside the door. And now my deal's a little different too, because like when I bought my place, I bought it with cash. I worked hard. I sold several other places in the past. I saved up some money. I bought my property. I built it all myself.
Kind of traded into it.
I did. I mean, I bought a piece. I bought 5 acres for my dad for $15,000, and I sold it for $45,000. I bought 13 acres for $40,000, and I put a $100,000 double wide on it, and I was in it like $120,000. I think the house was actually $83,000, and I flipped that property for $250,000. and I just kept working up. But I built everything with my own two hands. And I mean, did have my sons to help me, and you learn a lot about your kids working with them like that. But we walk outside every morning. We feed horses. The 3-year-olds every year have priority. The first horse is worked, and then we work the show string maybe every other day, and just ride them every other day type of deal. And then we so one day they're exercised, one day they're worked. The 2-year-olds get worked every day, and we just kind of let them. They're the last horses worked, so they just kind of drag along, and then we try to get in the summertime. We try to get all that done by like noon, and then after that, I might run out, check some cows, check some water gaps, put out some mineral cake. In the wintertime, days are short, but because some people's now there are days like when we go to brand, we don't go outside and start working 2-3-year-olds and all that. I mean, we're going to ship, we're going to brand, we're going to do whatever. So the performance horses might take a back seat, and then we might have to work some on Saturday or Sunday to make up for that, or at night when we get home, or, so there's some days, your social life is definitely, I can't even remember the last time I took my wife to the movies or something. You know what I mean? And not saying we're together every day. We work together every day. Once in a while, her and I'll break away and jump in my old Chevy and run to town and eat a steak together or something. Just like, hey, Mom and Dad need a break. Or every year on our anniversary, we go check cows. We'll eat a steak and then head out to the big country, I call it. And but one day that'll switch. Maybe I'm 45, so maybe another 10 years, I'll quit training horses for people, and I'll always train a horse and show a horse, even if it's just one of my own, because I love the challenge and I love learning. And like that little pre-work, I've been to a lot of pre-works lately, and I've had people ask me about, getting in the fraternity and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so scary. And I'm like, whether it be snaffle bit fraternity or the cutting fraternity or whatever, just enter. Okay. You cannot lose. There's no possible way to lose. Even if you have a crappy horse, even if you get a 0 and you ride out, I'm telling you, you will learn so much about horses and training. And it's awesome how willing people are to bail in and help you. Over at the practice pens on the flags, you can call a billion guys and say, hey, I want to come ride with you. And I've never had anybody say no. I'll never forget one day I called Boyd and I said, hey, Boyd, can I come work some 3-year-olds with you tomorrow? And he goes, yeah. And then he called me back. He said, no, don't come tomorrow. He said, come the day after, because Taryn's going to be here and he's bringing all his. And that was in August. And I saw Catalina cashing in August. And that horse was good enough to win the fraternity then. And so a buddy of mine from Nevada called me like 2 days later, said, who's got some wicked 3-year-olds? I said, I'm to tell you right now, if you can beat Taryn Rice, you'll win the fraternity. And that's what happened. Adon beat him, but Taryn just circumstantially, wrong cow, wasn't his night. God had a plan. Adon, he gave Adon the opportunity, and Adon took advantage of it. But I never forget how awesome that horse was and is, and the way Taryn trains and demonstrates a horse is phenomenal. I mean, but you get to see that, you get to be involved with that, and that's the type of people you get to meet, and and so I would encourage anybody out there, if you're questioning it, hell, just bail in and do it.
Yeah.
You'll never be ready. I can tell you that right now. You'll never be ready. You'll never be totally prepared. And even just like Taryn's case, he had the horse of a lifetime and did all the stuff he was supposed to do, and it just wasn't his night, And then Adon had the horse of a lifetime and did everything he was supposed to do, and it was his night, you know, so, but I got to be around all that stuff, and that's just one case that comes to mind. But
Yeah, I had a buddy that's what he said, kind of the same thing. Was like he said, I really don't like going to ropings because I'm, you know, he feels like he's not as super competitive or whatever, you know, doesn't always feel prepared to win because that's not his main deal. But he's like, man, every time I go, I meet somebody, I talk to somebody, I sell some cattle, sell a horse, get on a deal, you know.
yeah,
there's always something going on. He's like, he said, that keeps me going.
Danny told me, he always used to tell me, back to the rancher, Danny, that I first worked for out of high school, he had several sayings always stuck with me. He always used to say, where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. And so, like, people pay so much money to go to a clinic. They pay so much money to go watch this or that. I'm like, just buy yourself a horse, train the crap out of it, kick and pull until you're blind and bow-legged, and keep going. And you go down there, and it costs you $4,000 or whatever to enter, and you get a ride with everybody for 3 weeks for free.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, life hack right there, you know? And I mean, it's crazy you'll shake somebody's hand, you'll get in on a deal. Maybe they can be like, man, you're 90% there, but that 10% you're missing, I know exactly what you're going through because I trained that horse's mother, you know, 6 years ago, and this is what I went through. And if you do this, tweak this a little, you'll have it. And I mean, you know, but as far as the balance goes, I mean, shoot, there is no balance really. I mean, I do what has to be done when it has to be done. And it's not fun. And another deal that I did this year, I did it when I was 16 in 96. And I set a goal to ride a horse every day of the year this year. And like one day I was leaving for Billings, Montana, in February, and it was colder than sin. And I went out there at 2:30 in the morning, saddled a 3-year-old, turned the lights on, worked him on the flag for a bit. Because I said, I will ride a horse. And then I got thinking about halfway through the year, I thought, why would I quit after this year? Why not just ride a horse every day for the rest of your life? Even if it's just one, even if it's just for 20 minutes. So I'm just kind of a weirdo like that, but I like riding horses, you know, and sometimes, you know, sometimes I take horses on that I shouldn't, just to make myself really, really try to connect with a horseman inside of me. And people say, man, why are you riding that horse? You ain't going to win nothing, ain't going to do nothing. No, but it's tough, and you know what I mean?
A little bit.
Well, and I want to help the horse. Yeah, it'll challenge me a little bit, but like I haven't showed a snaffle bit horse for 5 or 6 years, and I got one shiny metallic mare in that was going to be trained to cut. Everything she does just feels like, I think you could do 3 events. And I think I need to reconnect with a little bit of where I started a little bit. So that's my goal with that horse. I talked to the owner about it, and she was like, cool, go do it. So, you know, I don't know. It's like I say, some days okay, that mare. I don't like to ride my 2-year-olds hard. That, like, everybody says, oh, take these colts out and ranch on them. And I'm like, they can't take it. I can make a circle for an hour or two, but I can't ride them all day. Well, I take this filly out just to prowl some pastures, and I got an opportunity to get some calves in that I couldn't get. and I get them in, and then we got some late calvers that aren't ready to go, but I got a rope to tag them, and guess what? All I've got is a Palomino 2-year-old. So who makes the team that night? She does. You know, never swung a rope on her, never done nothing, and I pulled my rope down, and she twitched her ear at it twice and said, go ahead, Dad. She's a really good-minded horse. I've been in some situations like that with horses that weren't very accepting of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, me and you ain't got a choice. We're going through this. So, you know, I mean, That's, you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have plans of, hey, Mom, let's just run out there and put out 6 salt blocks, and next thing you know, you're digging post holes. You know, it's just how it is.
What was it like when you first went out on your own training? Did you take on anything that somebody'd send you? Were you kind of trying to specialize, or what did that look like? If you didn't hear Ben Hell's story on episode 69, you need to check it out. He's been earning trust in the cattle industry one handshake at a time since 1995 at Western Livestock. Western Livestock is proud to be family owned and operated now with 5 locations: Oklahoma City, Woodward, Comanche, and Waurika, Oklahoma, and also Knoxville, Iowa. They're proud to do business the Western way with honesty, integrity, and a handshake that still means something. You can join them ringside or stream their sales from wherever you are. Western Livestock, where a handshake is their word, cattle are money, and timing is everything. If you're looking to buy or sell, contact Ben Hale at 940-631-BEEF. That's 940-631-2333. Check them out on Facebook or westernlivestock.com.
Oh, no specialization there. There was so like, if they wrote a book on what not to do in the horse business, it was like the first 10 years of my career. They just videoed me, you know, like, anyways, like real TV, you know. This is what you don't do. No, and it wasn't like I was a bad hand. I was just a stupid businessman. I didn't specialize. I took anything anybody'd send me, because at that point, you're just trying to pay the bills. And things were way different 22 years ago. They were so different. We didn't have social media. I'm telling you right now, if you use your phone for just trolling around, seeing what everybody's up to, like a creeper in a basement, you're an idiot. Like, I've bought everything from cowboy boots to cowboy hats to squeeze chutes to saddles to trucks off of Facebook Marketplace. You know, you can trade stuff, you can sell stuff. So we didn't have that back then. We didn't have PayPal and Venmo and Zelle and all these ways to trade money. So you would, if you wanted to get more business, you put an ad in the paper, you mailed in a check with a written advertisement, and they put out the paper the next week, and then hopefully somebody somewhere read it and didn't lose that newspaper. I had one guy call me one day, and he says, well, I got some colts I want to bring you. He says, when I get them in, I'll call you back. And I'll bring them over and you can start them. I says, all right. He got my number out of the paper. 6 months go by. I didn't hear nothing from this guy. And he walks up to me at the cow sale in Blackfoot, Idaho, and shakes my hand and introduces himself. He said, they told me that you were Scott. I'm like, yeah, I'm so-and-so. I was going to bring you them colts. And he says, I was going to call you back when I got them in, but my wife used that paper to start the fire with. And I didn't write your number down. I just circled the ad, and you know what I mean? I mean, so that things have changed so much now. Like, you can trade horses, you can trade dogs, you can trade. So you talked about selling tack. When my grandpa died, I got all of his tack, which consisted of about 8 or 10 bridles and a wore-out pair of saddlebags and a wore-out pair of shaps. My uncle got his saddle, which is his son. It should have gone to him. No hard feelings there at all. One of the items that I got was a rope nose hackamore, and Grandpa swore by breaking colts in that rope nose hackamore. So I used it, broke some colts. I was at a branding when I was 17. I roped on a colt for a while, tied him up so I could help on the ground. Somebody roped a calf. It wheels around there, knocks into the colt. He hangs back, breaks the hackamore. So I was heartbroken. And I tried to buy one, couldn't find one, so I thought I'll make one. Grandpa made his, I'll make one. And I made 40 of them and threw them away. They were horrible. I finally figured it out. And then I would build 10 or 12 of them a year, and I would sell them or give them away or something. And then about 10 years ago, I started selling a few of them and 7 or 8 years ago, I started selling some more, and now I've shipped those rope nose hackamores that I do use every day to train horses with. I start colts in them. I give an older horse a break from the bridle in them, and I still use all sorts of bits. Don't get me wrong. I've shipped those hackamores. I'll bet I've shipped 200 of them to Australia. I'll bet I've shipped 200 or 300 of them to Europe. I've shipped 400 billion of them all over the United States of America. And what's funny is there's 100 people out there making rope nose hackamores, but go back and look and see how long they've been doing it. That's all like since COVID. Okay. Like I remember one girl that built this huge hackamore business. She ordered like 4 hackamores from me before she started making and selling any, because she had to copy what I did. And I mean, it's not my invention. Whatever. I mean, it's America. Do what you want. But I have a really good friend in Idaho that makes some awesome bits, and I help him sell them. So I sell them, and I make halters, and
with all your free time, you do all this.
Sometimes, I'm not kidding you, even in the winter, there's times I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I just build tack until daylight. And then I go outside and I start working. And there's been times I've walked in the house at, I mean, however late you can imagine. And I sit down at my bench and go to work I've got a room in the house that's my work room. And it's an honor to me when you go like the NCHA fraternity and you look out there and you see multiple horses loping in your hackamores. It's an honor to me when I'll tell you right now, it's funny. Trevor Brazil said to me a couple years ago, he said the whole world's about to figure out what I already knew. And that was how good Miles really is. And, they put a video on Facebook of Miles loping a horse and running, stopping it, and it's in one of my hackamores, And I think what those guys do together. But there again, they don't do anything but that. You know what I mean? And so Trevor doesn't try to drive snowmobiles all winter, and he doesn't try to be a professional water skier in the summer and then rope a little bit here and there. I mean, and there's one of those guys again. Maybe he might be retired from full-time rodeoing, but now he's building awesome horses and working with Miles every day. You mark my words. I think when people look back on this whole deal in 20, 25 years, they're going to regard Miles Baker as one of the godfathers of how the rope horse fraternities are judged and watched and done. And, he's definitely ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. Definitely a remarkable hand in all aspects. So
I think on the point of like the focus, like on one thing, like you said, and you're kind of split. I'm the same way. I'm doing a bunch of different things, and you just got to ask yourself, am I okay with this? And how I've changed my mindset. I'm like, I can do anything I want. If I want to go make it to the NFR calf roping, I can do it. If I want to go be a cutting horse trainer, even though I have no experience, I can do it. But am I willing to put in what it's going to take to do it, which is a lot, especially now starting later. And I mean, I've got calf roping experience, but I'm older now. Cutting horse would be even further because I have no experience in any of this stuff, but it's all possible. But are you willing to make the sacrifices, like you said, especially if you start late or you start with less resources or anything like that? It's like you're going to have to be obsessed with it. You're going to have no family life, no social life, no playing. I mean, just immerse yourself in it. And in 10 years, I mean, maybe you're going to start making some waves, making some strides or something. Or like, to your point, I want to go ranch. I want to go have fun. I want to go, go to town with my buddies and ride horses and cut, or whatever it is, whatever it's going to be. So
like for me, like I'm very dedicated to cutting, and I'm also very dedicated to ranching. So I really don't have a whole lot of free time to go. Like I don't watch any sports ever. I just don't. I never have. I don't understand it. I never did it. And I'm not cussing those that do. It's not my deal. A lot of guys get together on Sundays and drink beer and watch football and have popcorn, and that's awesome. What a great stress relieving, fun time, but it's not for me. It's just not what I do. So, I mean, you know what one of my most soothing, relaxing hobbies is lately is literally spreading shit in the pasture with a manure spreader. Just getting my tractor, and we have the awesomest radio station in the world in Vernon, Texas, 1017. It plays nothing but, I mean, the majority of that music played on there was released way before fuel injection ever came out. And it's got all the good stuff. Anyways, you know, fraternity time, fall time, everybody's running to all the age events, the big shows, blah, 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 the end of September, whatever, a month ago. I took my wife to Cody, Wyoming, and we went clear up in the mountains up the Shoshone River for a week. And I said, I'm giving them 3-year-olds a break. I think they're on track. I think they're doing fine. I think they could use a break. And I want to spend a week in the wilderness where I, you know, close to where I grew up with my wife. Because when we got married, we never had a honeymoon. We never even had a wedding. We just went and got married. And I just wanted to spend some time with her. You know, we've never really been able to do that. And so I felt like McConaughey's deal, I felt like my relationship with my wife was possibly in the red, and I wanted to be in the black. So I'm going to put everything else on hold, and I'm going to go spend some time with her. And we had a remarkable fun time. And then we come home, we go right back to work, and I thought those horses were better. You know, I thought those horses did good having a break. But I don't have any desire to rodeo all the time. I went to my first jackpot roping in like 3 or 4 years in Frederick, Oklahoma, like 2 months ago. And I won it. It was fun. I won it. Got my fill. I don't want to go jackpotting every weekend again. I love, like I say, I love training horses, and but ultimately, really, I mean, and it's a long ways down the road still, but man, in 20 years, wouldn't that be cool to like take your 10-year-old grandkid outside and be like, that baby colt was born last week, and its grandmother I won the world on, and you can have it, and I'll help you train it, and you get to help him drag his first calf to the fire on it, and you know, I want something. I started breeding some registered cattle last year, and I'm passionate about Herefords. Everybody makes fun of me, but I love Herefords. So I would just really like to have, you know, a ranch, agriculture, you know, all that. And because you know, even Buster always said, if we don't understand our past, our history, we don't have a future. And so,
I say that all the time. Like pretty much everything that goes on in the world, you know, it's happened in the past somewhere. And everybody says like history is like the dumbest thing in school to study, which I always loved it. That was always my favorite subject. But
absolutely,
you look back, all this stuff is like a cycle. You know, if we look back and study Rome, we can probably see a lot of the same characteristics in our journey in America, and going back further, you know, whatever you want to study, everything's kind of cycle, and though it's not verbatim of this happened and this happened, but
isn't that why we read
things.
The Bible?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that the reason? Because history repeats itself. I mean, aren't we supposed to learn from the successes and failures of others?
You're supposed to.
I mean, so, but I will tell you this. If you, like I say, if you want to be successful in something, I've discovered that fear, the unknown, keeps so many people from doing like, how wonderful would the world be if everybody did what their 10-year-old self wanted them to do? Way before puberty screwed you up, way before you cared what anybody else thought. I mean, when you were 10 years old and you took your trucks and horses and cows to school and you ate your boogers and you didn't care what anybody, you know what I mean? I mean, you were your pre-pubescent self, okay? No puberty gets involved and screws life up. If you want to be I tell my kids, if you want to be a bread maker, that's awesome. Go be the best bread maker that you can be. Not the best bread maker in the world. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're the best at something, wait 5 minutes. Give somebody one more shot and they'll beat you. You know, and we see it all the time. We see, like Matt Gaines always said, he said, success breeds failure and failure breeds success. You know, you get comfortable, you get complacent, pretty soon you're getting beat when you're winning. Mm-hmm. You work really, and then sometimes you got to get beat up for a while, and then you're like, man, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to go back to, you know.
Then when you think there's nowhere you hit rock bottom, there's nothing, can't get any worse, and you go to clawing and scratching and, you know, your back's against the wall, then you see massive progress. And then you get comfortable again.
And I promise you, we're so spoiled as a nation. I don't think any of us hardly have at least me, I don't have a clue what rock bottom is. Mm-hmm. But we all have our own personal rock bottom. And so, but I'm serious. Like, I wish so many people would chase their dreams and chase their goals. And if your goals and dreams don't scare you, they probably aren't big enough. And I've always told people, set your goals and your dreams so high that they demand an entirely different version of you. If you can't start a business because you don't have the money, remember the 9 to 5 pays the bills, the 6 to 12 builds the empire. You know? So, and I tell my kids all the time, if you do what everybody else does, you'll have what everybody else has. If you do the stuff people don't do, you'll have the stuff people don't have. Mm-hmm. And so, and another thing. That's
pretty common sense, but nobody, I don't know if you don't stop to think about it or what, but yeah, it's pretty, you would think it'd be pretty straightforward.
I mean, just figure out, like I always tell people, like sometimes I have to say, if you really want to know what I would love to do, I would love to be a billionaire. Not to buy yachts and stuff like that, but yeah, I would love to have a ranch in Montana and winter in Texas and all that. But I don't think your gut lies to you. You got to go with your gut. And a lot of times your gut and your heart can argue with each other. You know, you might have to do something that you don't want to do. I've had to sell horses I didn't want to sell. I mean, so I've got several horseshoes. I'm really weird that I pulled off of horses after I sold them because that was how I remembered them. And I remember when I sold Shy, I rode out to the trailer and I just sat there on her and I didn't want to get off because I knew I would never be able to ride her again. So I stepped off of her and I unsaddled her and pulled my nippers out of the trailer and I pulled the hind shoe off of her, went and put her in her stall, and of course the new owner went and got her with 3 shoes on. But I still have that horseshoe. I had to sell her. We had to make a living. We had to feed the family. I'd showed her and she was aged out and it was time for her to move on. But do what you don't want to do first. You know? I remember I had a colt I broke for Ty Erickson's wife for Sierra. And there was a one-time mare, and she was kind of a bronc. And I really didn't like riding her because I didn't feel like I was winning. And because I didn't like riding her, that was the first horse I rode every day when I walked outside because I just wanted her out of the way. I didn't want to have a good day working horses and then all of a sudden 5 o'clock in the afternoon go, now I got to go get on a bronc. Just go get it out. And when I sent her home, she was doing awesome, you know? I mean, but if Mark Twain said, if the first thing you did every morning was ate a live frog, nothing else throughout the day would seem bad again. Yeah. So that was the live frog I ate every morning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's doing something hard for sure. I mean, some people it's working out, some people it's cold plunging, some people it's, you know, riding the worst horse or whatever. But yeah, getting that out of the way, and then it's like, okay, now we can. The rest of the day is going to be great.
Right.
Willow Creek Cattle Company develops and breeds hundreds of heifers a year for their customers. They can buy, develop, and AI heifers to the bull of your choice. They're located in northeast Kansas in the heart of the Flint Hills. So they can also start and grow your grass cattle. The U.S. cow herd is currently at the lowest inventory ever recorded, and with these record high calf prices, Willow Creek Cattle Company can provide a turnkey supply of AI bred heifers to help you rebuild your herd. Give them a call for all your backgrounding and heifer development needs. 620-344-2795.
Well, and the other thing, too, is I always tell my kids this. We have one chance to make a first impression on somebody. We got one shot. Okay? So conduct yourself how you should conduct yourself, because you never know when you're acting like a little pot licker and down the road, hey, man, I want to get into cutting horses and I'd like to go work for so-and-so. And they say, man, I remember that kid. I seen him at a horse show one time. That was the rudest, foulest little cuss. I don't want him around. But it'll blow your mind at what opening up a door for somebody or letting them go first, or, shake somebody's hand like you mean it, and be polite, and that it'll open doors for you like nobody. But conduct yourself, because we all get just enough rope to hang ourselves with in here in America.
Yeah.
Or we get, I've heard so many people say, well, so-and-so didn't have the opportunity for this or didn't have that. I mean, so you interviewed our good friend Chad. I love Chad. Like, here's the thing about Chad Bookshaw. I think he's a very talented man. I think he's a successful man. He has a beautiful family. But if people really knew how pure his heart really was, like that is the biggest hearted man in the world. And he would give anything to anybody, and he come from very humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. Very, very humble beginnings. And so, and I can assure you this, nobody has it as good as you think. If everybody thinks money's the answer to their problems, and it's not. Mm-hmm. It's really not. It helps, but it's not. Everybody out there fights battles and demons, and you don't know what they're fighting. So, trying to be as nice to them as you can. I mean, that could literally mean the difference between somebody getting up and going to work tomorrow or going home blowing their head off tonight. Mm-hmm. You don't know, so you never know what difference you can make in somebody's life, Yeah,
for sure. That's, I think, like all that we touch on. Good. I always ask advice wrapping up, and all that was really good. So I don't feel like I don't have to ask the question now. You brought it all up already. But what about one skill? Like you've got kids. You talk to a lot of people. If you could tell a young person or a person in general struggling, if you could boil it down to one skill, say if you go work on this, you're going to be all right.
As far as life or horse training?
Just
or
life in general, just success. Have a successful life, a happy life in general.
You know what I think? You know what my favorite time of day is? First thing in the morning, when nobody's up but me and my wife. We get to sit there and have a cup of coffee together. But the first thing me and my wife do together every morning is we make the bed together. I make my side, she makes her side. My wife's a very neat, clean person. And life advice would be to keep yourself as tidy as possible. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't say you have to wear $4,000 worth of clothes every day. If all you can afford is a $6 shirt, try to keep it as clean as possible. Try to keep your bed, the whole make your bed thing, you remember that?
Yeah.
I read a deal about a guy who hired people, and he had a very high office building, and he would look at the parking lot when people would pull in. Now, he didn't care what kind of car they drove or how old it was. He wanted to see what condition they kept it in. So if you try to keep you and your belongings as tidy as possible, I think I think it sets a standard for everything else. Like I made a deal with the kid that works for me. I said, Brody, he needed a pair of cowboy boots. I said, I'll buy you a pair of cowboy boots. I said, but you got to get a haircut. because you look like a sheepdog. And he did. He got a haircut, and he looked like a handsome young man when he. So if I could, we talk about all the things, and I don't have everything figured out. I can promise you that, but I can honestly tell you that, staying as close to my immediate family as I possibly can. I try to avoid religion and politics. I used to try to get into politics. Now I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. But trying to be a good dad, trying to be a good husband. But I'm telling you, that was what attracted me to my wife when I first met her. Was she didn't have a lot of money, and she didn't have a lot of things, and she took really good care of everything she had. And that I knew we were in for a hard trip. So that was attractive to me.
Yeah.
So I really do think that I think that'll take you farther than so many other things, is trying as hard as you can to keep yourself and your belongings in good repair. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something I need to work on. I treat my stuff like a tool and use it and abuse it and then clean it up and use it and abuse it. But I could definitely see it kind of all ties together. But
I mean, just like you go to my kid that works for me, every time I come home from the cow sale, I tell him the next day, you clean that trailer out. I don't want 14 foot of cow poop in my stock trailer. I don't want my show trailer full of horse poop and flies. I mean, keep all your stuff. I give everybody a lesson on how to hang up bridles and you don't. Yeah, I mean, it'll just blow your mind at how far that'll take you. You know, I mean, I remember back in the day when me and my wife first got married, we couldn't afford to take our clothes to the dry cleaners. I never went to a horse sale or a horse show or anywhere in public without starch pants and shirts. And my wife would iron all my pants and shirts, and I've never walked in the house at the end of the day, no matter how late, without a hot meal on the table. I don't even know how she does it. But yeah, keeping yourself tidy and taking care, everything will last longer.
Yeah.
I mean, on them rainy days when you can't do nothing, take your saddle in the house and clean it and oil it. It'll just blow your mind at where that'll take you. If you try to keep yourself, make your bed every morning so you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
Well, tell us, I know, like I first started seeing you on Facebook, so I know you got a decent social media presence. How can people get a hold of you, find you? Maybe they want some more advice. Maybe they need some horses rode. How do they get a hold of you? So
my family, my wife and I have a Facebook page. Just Hulme Ranch is what we call it, because you can message us on there. I mean, you can find my phone number on there. I don't have a website. I used to, and I just was like, websites are obsolete now. Everybody runs Facebook. So you can just look up Hulme Ranch on Facebook. I mean, there's, 40-some thousand people follow that thing. And sometimes I share my thoughts and feelings on there. I mean,
I think you're always putting out good, valuable content on there.
I just eventually one day I always think about compiling all it into a book, and then maybe not even necessarily because nobody really would want to buy that, but just maybe my grandkids can look back on it, because I keep it like a journal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me on social media. Go to Hulme Ranch, and I've gotten more and more selective of the horses that I take for training now, and they are primarily cutting horses. But every now and then I'll be like, somebody will reach out to me and be like, "Hey man, I got this horse, and something about it will just get into me," and I'm like, I got it. Don't cut its head off just yet. Just and then I'll tell them, trust the process. Don't think Rome's going to be built in a day. But if you'll give me a shot at it, and then I'd like to know that, it's like I told Jeremy the other day, we were talking about going to the fraternity. He was all excited. The draws came out. His horse drew really good. His horse has been working really good lately. And I said, well, Jeremy, I can honestly tell you this. I says, I can honestly say I'm going to that fraternity knowing that I've tried my hardest. And there's no way I can look back on this and say, gosh, if I would have rode that horse more or something, because I've done the best that I know how to do. And I feel good about that.
Right.
And so
that's the best feeling you can have.
Because that's confidence. It's all just preparation too.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence is preparation. So, but yeah, I will tell you this. I feel very blessed to have the life I have. And I also know that I've given up a lot. And I've tried to provide my children with opportunities to do whatever it is they would like to do. Most of that meaning, I'm going to hand you some work gloves. You know what I'm saying? I never we have several rules in my house, and one of them is don't ever say you can't do something.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's a rule. You don't. You figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You figure it out. And that's one thing that I want, like my banker and I, we know what's expected of one another. And he knows that come hell or high water, when that note's due, I will not fall short. I don't care what I got to do. If they talk about somebody running drugs across the Gulf of Mexico in a cowboy hat, it's probably me because the cow market went down. But I will not fall short. I'm not going to stand. Because bankers, I mean, they got mouths to feed too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they have stresses. They watch people they've helped for years go under. And I mean, but I want people to know that when I shake their hand and say, this is a deal, then this is the deal.
Yeah.
And if I tell you, hey, I don't want to ride your horse anymore. I sent a horse home a little while ago, and I just told the lady, I says, look, I don't really like your horse, and we're not getting along very good. And I said, I would not recommend sending it to another trainer. I'd just get rid of it. It's really not that nice of a horse. And she took it way better than I thought she would. And I even told the lady, I said, you've been awesome to work for. Your horse hasn't.
Yeah.
And she was, but I do, there's an old saying, be tough but fair, you know, the cowboy code of the West.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned that people will take advantage of your honesty. We're not Walmart, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you do what you say you're going to do, and it'll probably work out. You know?
I appreciate you coming on, and y'all go give him a follow. He's like I said, that's where I first saw you on social media, on Facebook, and like I said, you're always putting out valuable content, writing some cool stories, some good wisdom on there, and appreciate you coming on. And y'all go give him a follow, and we'll see y'all next time. As a business owner, you know Google reviews can make or break you. The problem, happy customers don't always speak up, and the few bad ones can drag you down fast. That's why we built Review Wizard, a free tool that makes getting 5-star reviews simple. Just post a QR code in your business, customers can scan it, and in seconds they leave you a review. But that's just the start. Review Wizard helps you respond to customers automatically, share reviews straight to social media, and even add them to your website to build instant trust. Every new review boosts your Google SEO ranking, making it easier for new customers to find you online. And if you want to take it to the next level, our AI upgrade can filter out the bad reviews before they hit your page and engage with your customers so you don't lose them. That means more good reviews, less damage control, and stronger relationships. The best part, the base version is completely free. No catch. Just click the link below and start turning your happy customers into your best marketing team today.